Hello and welcome to Putting You on the Spot, the podcast that puts you in the spotlight. Today we have a local hip-hop artist that creates his own music by himself and pretty fucking fantastic. Let's give it up for Trip.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming down, man.
No, thank you.
So, Trip, where do you get that name from?
My sister actually came up with it like a good 4 years ago. Like when SoundCloud rappers were all blowing up and stuff, I took a Sharpie marker and drew on my face, and I was just like, and she was like, "Oh, you can go by Trip Sav." She had like a persona that she made for a roleplay account on Facebook at the time.
Okay.
And I just stuck with it. It was
That just
Trip
kind of became
Sav.
the thing.
Yeah.
All right. So I did say hip-hop artist. You know, I'm a little out of the loop, so that's why I'm glad you're here. Would you consider yourself a hip-hop artist, or do you have like a particular, genre you would consider yourself?
I mean, I like to stay towards more of just more original rap. Like, I mean, hip hop is like changed throughout the decades, and like it's a little weird now. I wouldn't consider my music more hip hop. But it would be more drill because I've been falling into that category lately.
Okay, now how would you like categorize drill? Like what makes drill? I know it's tough, right?
It is really tough to bring. I would say it's just the way you approach the mic and the way you approach the beat, because the way the beat comes in, it's always a constant drill. It's always beating. Like you can rap very fast, you can take it really slow. But the way that a drill rap goes, you want to have like more of that 1 1 and then 2 as your third bar instead of going 1 2 3 4.
Okay.
You would go 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 instead of going 1 2 3 4 with your bars.
Gotcha. So it's taking like original elements, but changing up like the timing and the measures and stuff like that, especially with how you're flowing with the lyrics.
Exactly.
And that's one thing. Like we do a lot of rock guys here and stuff like that, and I think one thing that people miss out, like from that side of stuff, that don't understand like rap, hip hop, and stuff like that, is they think, oh, it's just a guy with the microphone, somebody's creating beats, and I don't think they have a true appreciation for like how it is. Like anybody could write rhymes and stuff like that, but to get it to flow in a certain way, and then depending on like I was listening to a podcast with I believe who was on it? Maybe it was Rick Rubin and Kenny Beats, and they were talking about like the culture of like hip hop, rap, and stuff like that from all around the country, and like Kenny Beats being a big producer and stuff like that, one thing he wants to know is like, what is the sound of the city that you're from? And I never realized like how different it is, like out in like New Orleans, I think he was saying, like they rely more on just the drums. They don't really add a lot of background keys and stuff like that. Yeah, well, in New York, it's a lot of that big bombastic bass. And then like crazy like
the sirens in the background, anything in the back, just to have you feeling like you're lost in a world that you can't even be in.
Yeah, so it's there's a lot more that goes into it other than just like looping a beat and then just throwing some rhymes on it.
Yeah, a lot more than that.
So what's your process like?
I usually would sit down, start on YouTube, going through type beats, just freestyling for a good hour or two. And then if I find a beat that I actually feel like, I know like it's going to sound good if I write to it, I'll start writing, start working, probably finish the song within 2-3 hours. My mix, I wouldn't say it's mastered because I'm not there yet. So, but I would focus on my first hook and then drop my verse, have a little chorus. And I always end up struggling on my second verses though, but I always end up finishing the songs pretty well because I have files, and I go back in my files from the past like 2-3 years, and I'm just like, wow, I got lyrics that I can't even remember, but like they're fire.
And yeah, it's like that way with a lot of different music. An old rock artist, Joan Jett, she always said like her process in writing music. Somebody's like, how have you written so many hits? And she's like, it's not like you just sit down with the guitar and like, oh, I'm gonna spend a week until this song is done. It doesn't work. You can't. That way.
You gotta bounce back and forth. You get ideas from each song that you make from.
Exactly.
It's a formula.
So do you create a lot of your own beats, or do you use like, stuff that's out there already?
Yeah, I mostly use stuff that's out there. I have a couple of friends that make beats though, and they've been making beats for me lately, and I'm going to stop probably using YouTube beats because I heard I can get into a lot of like trouble.
With the copyrights and stuff. But yeah, you're still new to the game, so you're learning as you go, and the stuff that you got is still pretty, is pretty awesome for what you got. I mean,
I've just been practicing, grinding every day, just trying to get that perfect quality, I guess.
Yeah, it's little by little. It's a learning curve, and you do a lot of stuff just straight out of your room, right?
Yeah, mostly everything's out of my room. If I'm going to the studio, it's like every once out of 6 months. Like I don't really go out much. I stay inside just working now lately.
Yeah, and that's one of the greatest things with technology is like we've had the technology for a while now that you create a home studio, but stuff has gotten so much more intuitive and in depth. There's so much more that you could do with it. We were talking like ahead of time, even like just how much the microphone that you're using makes a difference in your sound. What you do to the atmosphere, you know, just a little bit of soundproofing here and there can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it really is crazy because like sitting in my room, starting from what I was using before, the Zoom recorder, like I hear the difference between the mic that I have now. I sound more louder. I sound clearer. It's just easier to use too because I don't have to sit there and I have to like cut little breaths because it's getting clipped out with the new mic and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, the more you go, the more you start messing around with new programs and stuff like that. And the YouTube, there's so many videos out there, just about anything you want to learn.
Teach you
it's
everything.
there.
Like, I have friends that are sitting there like, oh, I can't produce this. Like, I'm just like, bro, go on YouTube. You figure out how to do all of this like I did, yo. May have taken me a while, but like, look. Like you listen to my music, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And the plugins that they've been creating lately, like I've been seeing them all the time because, like, you know, I do a lot of recording and stuff like that, and for like guitar effects and stuff like that, I use a lot of plugins, and so always the ads are coming up, and they're making stuff so simple for like the rap game and hip hop game where like you know it used to be you had to at least have an idea of how to play keyboards and stuff like that. Now you could just have a sound in your head and just be like, oh, you know, I think that might be a C. I'm not sure. I'm not a musician. You kind of program it in, you hit the button, and you find that sound that you want. And then you can use a program to create an entire landscape around just one single note.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I've seen my friend sit there, take a sample from a show that we were watching and turn it into a whole beat. It took us about like 5-6 hours, but I have the beat recorded and it's mine. So it was a good song. We sat there for a good day making that.
Yeah, and that's how it goes. You know, anybody will tell you that like some of the most successful guys in the game, like you know, they could still be millionaires right now, but like you know, every Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, whatever, they're in their studio from like 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah.
It's an addictive game, man.
Like.
But,
once you start making one, you really don't want to stop. Like, I mean, I'll get annoyed after one song, but I always want to make more. But thing about making music alone, I don't really have that confidence behind me of like my friends pushing me to make more.
And that's what that you know that's why everybody's got a crew, you know, and everybody helps flow off each other, and you can't have a bunch of yes men that are just like, oh yeah, that's fire, that sounds good.
But then you're really not going anywhere because they're not giving you their true opinions to what they actually think.
And you think about it sounds good, and then you go to put it out, and then you know the public will tell you like, no, that shit sucks, man.
Yeah, that's how it's been for the past couple of years too.
Yeah, but it's again, it's a learning process. But the fact is that you're sticking to it, and right now is the best time. There's not much else going on right now. Is the age of digital music. You know, just go for it.
Yeah, everybody's going in now. Like on TikTok, you see multiple rappers. Like every day, I'm on TikTok just seeing a new rapper. I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I myself was gonna try doing TikToks and stuff like that, but like I was just like, I'm gonna stick to writing my music and rapping the way I want to rap because I don't want to sell myself for like social media.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah, you got to do it for yourself, and if you're doing it with with the right intent and you really putting out a product that you believe in, other people will flock to it. You know?
They're gonna see that you're dedicated. They're gonna see like that you've been striving to like work for it. Like I've had someone come to me and be like I didn't listen to your music when you first started making it, but like now I'm listening to it and I see that you've gotten so much better, and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I've just been working on it, but I've slowed down a little bit though with it because I'm trying to see who actually is gonna listen because I got a little EP out right now.
Okay,
it's on SoundCloud. I mean, it's on all platforms, but I'm just waiting for it to reach like 100K because it's like my SoundCloud right now is at 80K overall, like through all time, and I just want to reach 100K before I drop any more music.
Not bad. Yeah. But hey, you got plans, you got something, you're going for it. So now, like lyrically, what's like kind of like the messages that like you're trying to put out?
You can do it yourself. Like you don't need anybody. As long as you stay focused and you keep to your grind, nobody can stop you from getting anywhere you want to.
So like what's some of the things that like help like inspire you? Like when you got a beat, you're feeling it, you start putting down some some lines, you start throwing down some bars. What's the thing that like really gets you going, and like that's where you find like a lot of your lyrics start driving towards?
For me, I already have like lyrics I always have lyrics in my head. Like I'm always thinking about music 24/7. Like I'll be at work working around just doing my job, just rapping, freestyling just to get more lyrics out. I'll sit there, I'll look at the name of the song, the name of the beat that's out there. I won't use that word, but I'll use every word that sounds like that word. Like I'll make sure like I'll try to like redirect everyone's directions towards a whole different meaning of the song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Freaking like I've always appreciated like the flow of rap. I've tried to do it myself. I suck at it. I can write lyrics all day, but I just for some reason I just can't find that flow. Like
That flow, yeah, it's all
how,
about the flow.
I was gonna say, how hard is it to like find that voice? Because I know like you were saying that was something you were struggling with at first, and now you're kind of getting into your own with it.
As of now, I have fun. Like I'll sit in my room, like right before I came here, I was sitting in my room. I woke up, put on a beat, and just let it play it out. And I was just fucking with my voice, just see what I could do. I was singing, I was rapping, I was screaming, I was doing everything in the book. I was just like, see what I can do when I come here.
And it's funny that you say screaming. I've noticed, like, I'm a little bit out of the game. My brother listens to a lot of stuff, and he's been showing me all, like, this new, like, emo rap. And, like, there's a lot of cross genres and stuff like that. Some of them are better than others, but there's a lot of, like, combinations of, I've been hearing a lot of, like, hard rock and heavy metal elements being, like, introduced in some of the underground, hip hop stuff now.
Yeah, I would say MGK. I blame MGK for that because like he fell off because of Eminem and all that beef that they had, and then he went into punk rock, which he combined rap and punk rock together. And I like his music. I do like I have nothing against him. I mean, then I would fall into that genre too. Like I used to like be very into that type of music, but like lately I've just been focusing on my money and like what sells.
Gotcha. That becomes the next balance. It's like putting out something that like is just about like this is what I want to put out, but like if you also want to be successful in it, you also have to have that business mindset of like what do people even want to hear, and it can be hard to kind of balance that.
100%. Yeah, I sit there and I'm like, I ask all my friends too. I'm just like, yo, what should I rap about? What should I rap about? And they'll give me a topic, and then they'll give me a person, and I'll sit there and I'll put it together. I'll just create a sort of environment or like the subject to talk about while I'm rapping.
Yeah, just having a story to tell, and it's interesting to see like the evolution of how it's been, because like when rap started, like in the 70s and stuff like that, it was to a lot of funk beats and stuff like that, and it was people talking about the African American community and all the like the shit they were going through, and before social media and whatnot, people didn't realize like how bad they had it, and so it was some guys talking about love, and there's some guys talking about what it was like in the hood, and then slowly you started getting like NWA and all these guys out being like, yo, this is what it's like out in the streets. But now today it's like a lot of the mainstream stuff is just like
this is what I'm doing. Most people talk about themselves. That's how I see it, and I feel like it's a very selfish community to be in, because if you're not focused on yourself and you start letting other people come into your life, they might be able to take over and take control of what you're doing, and it's never good.
Yeah, it seems almost superficial too. It's like there's not much message behind it. It's just like, oh, look at me, look at what I got. But at the same time, the contradiction to that is like, all the people that say like have your goal boards and your vision boards and stuff like that. And feel like you want money, you want cars, you got women, like talking about it all the time. Maybe that helps manifest it.
I mean, I'd rather not talk about it and then just stay working until I get it.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like in time, with patience, you will get everything you need as long as you stay focused and work to succeed.
Exactly. So that's a good mindset to have. So who's helped you kind of solidify that?
Everyone. I would say everyone in my life has helped me see to this point where I am now.
You got a good family, good crew behind you.
Good, bad. I mean, I've seen the worst and I've seen the best. So it just helps me learn from each one.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything in life, the good, the bad, there's always a good lesson to be learned from it, from somebody that's willing to open up their mind and
just listen.
Exactly, and pay attention. And then the art of music, no matter what style it is, that's that creative expression of like
beautiful.
Yeah, man.
It's just you can express your feelings in any way through it. You can be angry, you can be sad, you can be happy. You can just sit there and say words on a beat, and people sometimes like it. Like that's it. Doesn't even matter what you say at some points.
Like, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Papoose that had like the alphabet song or whatnot. And there wasn't much of a story in what he was saying, but he was just going through like A, B, C, D, and he had a rhyme for each one, and then he does it backwards and stuff like that. And that was just for the fun of it, but he had such a great flow. It had such a good beat to it that even though it didn't have like an overall like
story or like a main idea to it, it still had rhythm. It was
fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely fun. And then and then speed rap. What do you think about that?
I've been practicing that. I've been working on that. Like I consider that double time, and then there's like triple time. Like that would be like Eminem's level or something. Yeah. Like
or Tech Nine. Have you ever heard Tech Nine stuff?
One of my friends, he's more towards speed rap. Like he's practicing and working on himself. Like saying multiple words per second. Like I can do it. Like we sat there and I was like, how many beats can I hit a minute? And I think it was like 144.
Wow.
Yeah, and we kept going up on the scale, but I was just like, I just started mumbling words at that point, and I was like, I can't do it. I was like, the beat's going too fast. I was like,
Yeah. And then there's mumble rap, there's speed rap. I don't think you want to combine the two. That's just a mess.
Exactly. It's so bad.
Yeah, but the voice, it's an instrument just like anything else. For a guitarist, it's practicing scales over and over until you can get the speed that you want. Same thing with doing lyrics. Yeah,
vocals and all that.
The tongue, the tongue, it's a muscle. You got to work it out. I'm sure the first couple of times you started getting to it, you actually started getting sore, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of sentences that I'll be saying where like it sounds like I'm just rolling throughout the actual rhyme and throughout the actual bar itself. It just rolls right out.
And then the other thing is finding the right set of words to combine together where it's easy to pronunciate each one in between at a proper speed, because certain words just aren't going to work.
Yeah,
it's got too many syllables.
You can't punctuate. You can't say certain words, and it's just terrible. You can't you'll hear like the end of a word. Like if it's mumble, you hear umble. You're going way too fast.
So with where you're heading to, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to hit the next top 100 billboards, or are you looking to create a big underground following? What's kind of like the future that you foresee?
I mean, I would say more underground, because I just always wanted a name for myself. Like I've always been that one kid around that just everyone knew, but like nobody really wanted to be with. So I would be home and everybody be outside, and I just wanted someone to hit me up. Like, I'm out here. I'm here. Y'all know my name. See, when I started going by Trip, I became like a different person at the same time, because I was just outside like every day with who didn't care who I was with, and just did everything I could just to get clout at one point. And then I realized I never needed it. And then once I realized I never needed it is when my music started getting better, because I wasn't doing it for the clout. I wasn't doing it for my name. I was doing it for me.
And to have the struggles, the goods and the bads throughout life, I would say for all musicians, no matter what the genre is, we kind of operate at a different level. And, through music, that's the way that we can communicate our feelings and get everything out, whether it's for the better or for worse. That's the easiest way to, communicate what's going on. So how does that resonate with you?
I mean, I was in rehab a couple of years ago, and when I while I was going through drug tests and all of that stuff, I was writing. I was just in my phone writing music in my notes. I had GarageBand on my phone, and that's how I would record my music at the time. And that's it. I would just write my feelings down, and it made me feel better at the end of the day, because I wrote it all down on paper, and I was able to read it back to myself and be like, damn. And that's how I feel. I got to change that.
Yeah, exactly. It's giving it its own life that you can actually look at it and be like, this is where I was, this is what I was feeling.
Changes your perspective on it.
100%. And sometimes, for me, that's the easiest way to get something off of my chest.
Yeah, write it down.
Yeah, over the years, I've gotten better at communicating with those close to me, because I've gone through similar struggles and rehab, all that. I've been clean for a while now, but in the early days, I don't want to talk about myself to somebody else. I don't want to seem weak, whatever. Yeah. So for me, music was not only a meditation, but it was a way for me to communicate what was going on with me and get it out into the universe,
Yeah, I would consider it a meditation too, but at the same time, I would be like, it's my therapy.
Yeah, okay.
Because I sit there and I did go to therapy for a couple of times too, and I told one of my therapists right before I left, I said, you never really helped me. And I told her, I was just like, you really made me worse at the end of the day. And showed her some of my music. She liked my music at the time, and I showed her some of it, and I said, if my music goes anywhere, I just want you to know that you never helped me. I was like,
well, maybe she helped you, but not in the way that you would think.
I mean, the program overall helped me. As a therapist herself, I think she would just sit there and just listen.
Gotcha.
And that's what therapy really is. They have to listen to you. They get paid for that.
Yeah. Well, the way I see therapy, a good therapist, they're not there to help you fix yourself.
No.
What they do is they have a history and a background and education in what could be wrong, and help lead you through that education into what could help you make better decisions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the decision's always up to us what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But if they're just sitting there listening and not at least offering little bits of advice, it's not supposed to be like, oh, you should do this, you should do that.
No.
But based off of this study, this or that, this is what people struggle with. This is how people can help get out of it. There's it's so much more involved than just sitting there listening and going, well, I think you had a bad day. Maybe you should go talk to your friend about the argument you had.
Yeah.
It's so much more than that. But there's a lot of people that just like to cruise in life, man.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the industry too, you know. You got any have you seen any bad examples of what not to do with your music? 'Cause I've
Six
seen a few of
nine. I could
those.
just name 6ix9ine. I could
Mhm.
really just name that one person because I feel like yeah, he did sell himself,
Mhm.
but that's it. He sold himself,
Yeah.
and now he has a fan base, he has all of this stuff that he has, but like, what do you really have? You have no respect.
Yeah.
And like that's what it really is. You need to have that respect to be in, like, especially the rap game. Because if you're not
Mhm.
respected in the rap game, you're not respected as a person.
Yeah, even the guy that took him in, you know, under the label and everything
Hmm.
like that. I believe it was him. He was on the documentary and whatnot. Like, you know, I brought him into my home. He broke bread with my mother, and now he's off doing this. He
Yeah.
just fucked us just to, you
Hmm.
know, just to make that buck.
See, like I wouldn't. I look at that. I watched the documentary on him too, and I was just like, I would do everything opposite of him. I would
Mm.
give back to everybody who ever started, like, helped me got to this point.
Hmm.
Like, because I didn't do it on my own. In reality, I say I do it on my own. I come up with my own lyrics. I make my own music, but nobody else who's pushing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The support of having people around you. Maybe
Mhm.
they're not pushing buttons. Maybe they're not helping you put the mic in front of your face. But if they're there supporting you,
Mhm.
they're just as important to the process as
Exactly.
anything else.
Because if they weren't there, where would I be?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it becomes tough too when you start marketing yourself out to the
Mhm.
fans is again, you want to be yourself, but you want people to enjoy what you have. And it's like trying to find that balance between this is the art that I'm putting out for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. But if they're like, nah, I don't like that, well, I still want to make them happy. You know, without them, nobody's listening to my shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's always a tough balance with that.
Like I saw a good a good example, like Lil Skies as a rapper. Like he blew up in like 2017, 18, and then he was on the top of his game at that point. And then as of now, like people see him, and I feel like what you just said, like people don't really listen to his music as much anymore because it's a whole new genre that's out, and more people are falling into that genre.
Mhm.
And Lil Skies as a rapper is like he's trying to put music out that they're gonna like, but he's losing himself at the same time. And I
Mhm.
feel like if he were to stay back to himself, he would probably see more
Yeah.
and how grab more other people's attention.
And it's tough because also I've seen so many times, especially in the rock world, with so many bands. Like there's a lot of bands that I've liked that throughout, you know, if they've had 20+ year careers where they've switched their sound a little bit, but not to like something that's popular in the meantime. They're just experimenting with new sounds,
Yeah.
new instruments, all that kind of stuff. And maybe the end result isn't something that I like, but I always respect the fact that they're looking to grow and evolve.
Change, yeah, evolve.
But for some people, that automatically it's like, oh no, you're not yourself anymore. I want to hear the shit off the first
Yeah,
album,
yeah.
and they stop listening to them. You know, so again, it's life is full of paradoxes. You
Yeah.
know, there's always a push and pull, and trying to find that place in the finding balance. That's like the big key.
Mhm.
So I don't remember if I asked it. What would you consider your style was drill, right? Now with
Yeah.
well, you're working towards that. So
Yeah.
like with the beats that you guys are starting to work on, is there like a background to that? Like we were talking earlier, how like different cities have like a culture of what their sound is.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you kind of pick from? Like, oh, this is the New York sound we're going for.
Yeah, I try to stay more towards New York.
Gotcha.
'Cause I don't know, I'll rep New York till the day I die. I love
Gotcha.
it.
Yeah, I was always curious about like that, like if that's kind of like a badge, like even just the style of music that you're doing. What's your background beat? If like that's almost kind of like a badge of where you're from, how
Yeah.
important that is.
Yeah, it's the sound, especially because you can hear rappers from the UK with the drill beats and hear rappers from Chicago with the drill beats, but you hear a New York rapper, you know he's from New York. Like you can tell. Like people are fond because of us. I don't know why. But there's Atlanta rappers, there's California rappers. I like Atlanta rap, especially I love Atlanta rap. Like I love Anderson, I forgot his name. Damn. Like Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
Like
yeah,
I fall into more. I love his rap too. Like Chance the Rapper, Hobson, Tyler the Creator. I listen to all of that too. But at the same time, I listen to Pop Smoke. I listen to Chef G, Sleepy Hollow. Like I have like people would say that my genre is music switches like nothing. Like I dropped an album once, but I deleted it. I had a song from like Lil Peep, a song from Juice WRLD, a song from like a beat, like meaning like Pop Smoke beat. Like it's just different genres like of rap in itself, and it made me more diverse at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's I find it fascinating, man, and like we were talking earlier about like the meditation and therapy and stuff like that. We were talking about this not too long ago with a couple other guys we had in here, where like at atomic level, all of us are nothing but just like little atoms floating
Yo, I was
around.
talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, and so everything has a resonant frequency, and so music is just vibrating the air, creating frequencies that make sound. So like when you start tapping into that, you're tapping into like a whole nother realm that
Yeah.
we're not always
You can control. I felt like my friend was messing around with his frequencies on there, and he was just like, "Yo, I found a frequency that hits your heart." And I was like, "What?" And he played it in his car, and I felt it. Like,
Yeah.
I really felt it. I was just like, "Wow, you gotta teach me that."
That's cool. So now you think going forward, like that's gonna play like
It's
an
gonna help
important role?
help me to get advantage over like it's gonna help me play a better role in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've been talking about this ad nauseum, but the hertz at which you record, there's like 4,800, 4,400. Each one of those plays a different role, like in your subconscious and in your soul. So definitely, like try messing around with that. Even
course.
like the sample rates and all that stuff of all your stuff. I think a lot of that stuff is it hasn't been talked about a lot, and it's starting to get out there now.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Twan, he's been working on his music every single day. Like we both like when I started rapping, he didn't rap. He just wrote music. Like and he said he was gonna make beats one day. And I said I was gonna rap one day. We never thought that we would be here today where he's producing 4 to 5 beats a day.
Wow.
And sitting there just in his room, just making as much as he can on his laptop. And then I pop out and we sit there and make a beat and we rap over it. And it's crazy how we like went from just chilling in my room talking about this to actually now making moves, going to the studio every other weekend and trying to find plans to actually just connect.
And then once you get into that zone, it's like almost like everything just disappears around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so we talked about styles of music and all that kind of stuff. Some of your background, like you said, you were in rehab and stuff like that. So I'm guessing there was some tumultuous times getting up. How much does that like influence who you are now?
I mean, I would say I like around the age of 16, I was on the street a little bit for a while, and I was just doing everything I could just to get money and food and stuff. So like that really did make me more of the rapper that I am today, because I wouldn't say most of the things I say in my music if it wasn't because of that time that I went through and seeing the things that I've seen and being through all of that shit that I've been through.
So just being true to the experience that you've lived and and trying to get that past. But you seem like a super positive guy now. So
I've always I try to be as positive as I can be now.
And just pass that message on. I'd love even if something's sad or depressing in a certain way, when somebody gets it out just the right way, like when it can resonate with you, it's like feeling somebody trying to like lift that from themselves through the community, like as a whole with with the art of music. It's like there's something beautiful behind that.
It all depends on how you connect to the person or the listener that's actually like you want to help them. At the same time, you're helping yourself. Like teach them through a way of music, and at the end of the day, they'll listen because they'll hear you if they connect to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the best thing to do that with is live performance. Have you done any live performance yet?
I have actually not done any live performances yet.
All right, so you're gonna do one today.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna get you. Once everything starts to die down, everything starts to open back up. Are you looking forward to possibly getting out there into the clubs?
I was actually trying to book a concert before Corona struck, and then Corona like ruined all of that for me.
Yeah, that's been a story that's been going around.
I was so close. I was like, I got it. I got my 20 tickets sold, all I needed, and I was just like, all right, but now I just gotta go. Corona.
Yeah, exactly. And even outside of that, it seems maybe I'm just out of the loop, but it seems like outside of the underground game, there isn't a lot of like big shows for rap anymore.
Yeah, I mean, besides underground's really the only thing that's doing all these shows right now, because you're not gonna have like I can't even remember what's that name of that big concert that they throw like every year or so. Like, they used to
Bonnaroo, the Coachella.
Nah, it had A$AP Rocky at it like 2 years ago.
You sure it wasn't Coachella? You got Burning Man. There's so many.
I know about Burning
the big
Man.
ones.
Rolling Loud.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
yeah
we don't have no Rolling Louds happening right now, and that's what most people are looking forward to. If you perform at Rolling Loud in like my generation, you're God. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, like everyone looks up to you. Like I knew so many people in my generation, like my age, a year younger than me or a year older than me. Everyone went to those concerts. Everyone, like, and they had the best time of their lives. I wasn't going to those concerts.
Gotcha, yeah,
I was making my own music, trying to maybe one day be on the stage at one of the concerts.
But yeah, it's like, like, rock bands you see performing all the time, the pop scene and stuff like that, and even hip hop, as I would call it, that kind of like crossover where it's like rap but still has like a pop and R&B element. I see some of those, guys and gals going out on tour, but again, like I said, I don't see any big like rap tours anymore. Maybe big concerts, music festivals and stuff like that. Some of the big names show up. What do you think is like, behind that? Like it's fun to be in the studio, but like I would think like the overall end game is to be out there with the crowd, like, putting that in front of the people.
I mean, depending on the music you make, because you can make club music and it's still rap at the same day. You're still making money through it because it's being played at the club.
That's true.
And you don't even have to be there in order for people to just go there and listen to your music and hear you on just in the club.
Gotcha.
And I would say, like, I wouldn't even try to make club music. Like, I wouldn't want to have my music that type of way. Like, I would want someone to memorize all my lyrics and rap that shit back to me, and I'll be like, damn. Like,
yeah. Like, I remember, like, seeing videos of guys in, like, the 90s and 2000s being in a packed club, with the MC, you got your guy running the turntables in the back, and, like, a whole crowd of people sitting there, like, just, rhyming along. And, like, just for me, like, as a musician and whatnot, that's, like, I love the studio and the creative process, but nothing hits me more than being on stage playing in front, even if it's 3 people that, like, barely know your music, if they're rocking out and they're getting into it, that exchange of energy, it's unlike anything else.
Just seeing someone bobbing their head when my song is on, like, I'll be like, yes, I got one.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, that's all I needed. And they'll be like, oh, it's just a beat. And then they'll remember one of my lyrics, and I'll be like, I caught you. It was catchy. I know it was.
Yep, catch him with the hook, man.
Yeah, that's exactly how it comes in.
So yeah, hopefully after everything starts to open back up, the clubs will get, back open, maybe start getting out there.
And I'm about to be 21, so.
So there you go. Now you're ready.
Yeah, I got
now
one
you can
more.
really hit it. Hey, a lot of clubs will, like, depending on the club, they'll let you come perform. They might not let you hang out afterwards and stuff like that. And then it's almost like, what the point? Because if you get up on there.
Either way, I'm going out afterwards. Either
but
way.
if you get up on stage and you tear it up, and then like everybody's looking for you afterwards, it's like, fuck.
I mean, I'd rather just disappear if everyone's looking at me. That means they're gonna keep looking for me.
Well, if they're looking at you for a good reason,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And now with the digital streams and everything like that, it's no more like, you
I've been actually thinking about doing that too, because I play games, I play video games, and I'll be like just live stream, do a freestyle for people, like,
exactly,
stream with my fans and see what happens,
and still be able to get it out there. And the only other, the downside, so to speak, is like if you do start getting out to the clubs and you're doing stuff, you got to try to find a way to push people to get, go to the website to download everything and whatnot. It's not like you could just sell albums out of the back of your car anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I've also came up with like a whole brand design. Like, I have a character that I designed a couple years ago that was Trip, like a little bear that I made with like a face, and I had sold stickers, $1 a piece. Gonna make a hat, gonna make clothes. Just waiting now. Just waiting, because I want to get the name out there first. Like, I mean, I can get the name out there by just selling the clothes, but I can do both.
Yeah, that's something that's been going on for a long time too. That seems to be another half of the game. Is
merchandise.
Exactly.
You gotta
always with the merchandise, but even it goes beyond merchandise now, where it's like even just fashion statement. Like, the biggest one obviously being Kanye with the Yeezy line. It's more than just merch. He's got a whole fashion line. And whether you love him or hate him, he's taking it all the way to the bank. So.
Yeah, it's nice though. Yeah.
And that's like, that's a whole new element of the game. You see it with everybody now. Once they get big enough, it's, open up your own label and get your own fashion line.
Yep. That's really, that's the plan. I mean, because once you have, like, you can't have one source of income. You can't just rely on music for everything.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, what do you got? Your music, all right? What about your money? What about your house? What about your car? What about your family? Are they good? Like, your music is not going to help them eat. I mean, it's gonna help you at the end of the day if people listen to it, but you gotta have that third source of income, because that's how you become real successful in the world.
Exactly, and it helps create longevity. And it's good at a young age you already realize this, and you already got a step ready to go.
I'm just waiting, just stacking up and waiting for that time to come.
And you already got to prepare, because you can't wait for anybody. You got to already be ready to go. So I hear a lot of people say, like, when they get famous, it's like, oh, I'm so lucky, and it's like, yes, you're lucky because a million people could do it, and you were the one out of the million that got it, but you still had to have the talent that when that opportunity showed itself, you were ready to fucking go. It's not
you gotta
like,
show them that you're ready.
Yeah,
to be prepared, be dedicated, and just be ready to work and perform.
Yep, show up or put up.
Put up.
Put up or shut up. That's it. Yeah. I'm getting all my shit confused today. So when recording and stuff like that, you know, is there any kind of like particular programs and stuff you guys like to use?
Well, when I go to the studio, he uses Pro Tools X. If I go to my friend's house who makes beats, he uses Logic X. And then I just simply use GarageBand. And then from there, I just make the song for myself on GarageBand. And if I wanted to make it for somebody else, I'll take it to the studio. And that's really it.
And if nothing else, it's a good writing process. It's good for you know, even just practice, you know, too. Because like I'm sure with something like that, like I said, just like any other instrument, you got to keep that tongue going, man.
Yeah, you got to keep it going. The moment you stop, you lose it. Like, you don't want to lose it. I mean, I feel like I can't lose it. I can't lose it.
Got it solidified to the point where now it's like riding a bike.
Yeah, to a point. I still fall every once in a while.
It's all good. It's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I mentioned about the programs is like there's so many out there right now, and Pro Tools used to be like the industry standard like 10 plus years ago. But now there's so many that have like, you know, come along that like, you know, depending on who you talk to, that, oh no, this is the best program. No, this is the best
everybody
program.
has their own like my friend for beats he uses Ableton. Ableton Live 10. And then again, from Ableton he'll take his beat that he made and transfer it over to Pro Tools, and then on Pro Tools he'll mix it and master it and do everything he can there. But he doesn't, and then he has other programs that he said doesn't work, and then I know people that it's just crazy. Multiple programs I've seen throughout the couple of years I've been working on it. And
each one has its own like strengths and weaknesses, and then depending on like what you're used to working with, you know, kind of becomes the default. Like a buddy of mine, he uses FL Studio, which way back in the day when it first came out, it was called Fruity Loops, and it was that's where the FL comes from. And it was a lot of drum programs and stuff like that. And then they had a whole interface where like if you were a band, you could record the whole thing, or you could layer up stuff if you're making beats and stuff like that. And now all these years later, it's still around, except that now it's FL Studio. And so there's a bunch of guys that use that. I tend to use Cubase a lot. It just you know, it works for a lot of different things. And you know, and then with MIDI technology, you know, using a MIDI controller, just about anything you can use, and it becomes just like what you're comfortable with, what you know, and like, you know, at the end of the day, most of them all pretty much do relatively the same thing, but like I said, some have, you know, bigger
strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. So, and you know, depending on what you use, that could actually make or break, you know, like what you're doing. If you're like, oh, you know, this is the hot new program, you go to use it, you have no idea what you're doing. Well, guess what? It's gonna struggle. You're
gonna sit there and try to figure it out for the first couple months until you get that mastered. That's it. Like even to this day, GarageBand. Like it took me so long to get to this point where I'm at. Like now my music sounds good. I'm like, I listen to my old music, I'm just like, damn, like why did I even record this? But I look back at it and I'm like, that's why. Like that's why. I can look back and be like, damn, I can see the difference, hear the difference, feel the difference, and I'm just like, all right, what's the next step? Because I want to just keep getting better at making it, producing it. I wanted to go to school for it, but money.
Yeah, it's tough, and you know, it's not like it's getting any easier with student loans and all that kind of shit. But again, you know, technology, the digital technology has been around for so long, and with like YouTube and some of these other streaming services, there's so much out there that you could pretty much get your own degree just by like if you have
YouTube.
Exactly, if you take the time to just sit there, watch, take your notes off of that.
It's like a class. It's just it's like going to school. As long as you sit there for the full hour, it's like if you're dedicated to something. Like I know people that you won't do something if you're told to do it. That's how most kids are nowadays. So if you're doing it for yourself, you're most likely going to pick up and learn more things than doing it because someone else told you to.
Exactly. And now with GarageBand's been around forever, man. That's another one that's been around for a while, but it's come a long way. And so like, let's say you're sitting in your room, you're messing around with something, and you're like, oh, I'm really liking this. From like the start of like you getting that spark to like you hit the studio to try to like turn it into something, like about how long usually until like, you know, you can like say, all right, this is completed?
I'll shut off my computer, shut off everything in my room. Like I'll find the beat, I'll know what beat I'm gonna use, I'll just shut it off and sit there and write for a good 30 minutes to an hour before I finish writing.
Wow.
I'll finish writing in like 30. I can write something real quick. I always come up with things. It's just that simple for me. I don't know why.
So once it hits you, it's right there.
Yeah, I just keep going. Once I get like that first 4 bars, I just keep going. I just keep writing them, like trying to bounce off other words and other syllables that I can rhyme with. But yeah, so then that hour comes and I'm just like, all right, now I record. And then that takes forever.
Gotcha. The studio process. That's where it becomes the tough time.
Getting that first sample recorded and then like going to the next one and then piecing them together and then just,
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, because again, I've never done that process before, so I've always been interested. Like, I had a lot of people around me that do it. I had a friend that he was real big into EDM, so like, in the early days, like when what was that? Like when Skrillex was coming out, and that whole style, which
Marshmallow.
yeah, and again, Skrillex, he kind of changed the game with a lot of that EDM style, because again, he came from like the metal world, but he was always into
tech.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So
tech
he
sound.
took like a lot of the elements, so like breakdowns and stuff like that. When it gets to like halftime and it sounds kind of heavy, that's a heavy metal element that you start to hear.
Yeah.
But because he crossed it over, and now you hear it in a lot of other styles of music. That's why, like, the cross genre stuff, it can be really shitty, or it can change the face of everything.
Yeah, I also fell into Skrillex back when I was like 11, 12 years old, playing Minecraft, just listening to Skrillex. It's crazy. It was a good time. But yeah, it's a combination between all that music though. Like growing up listening to 50 Cent, Eminem, and then listening to like hip hop, listening to freestyle, like not like rap freestyle, but like freestyle music, hip hop freestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like all of that mixed together made me make the music that I make. Like I'll just sound weird. I'll do a pop song one day and then make a hard, dark, deep, depressing song the next day. Like people are just confused on my part. Like I'm just like, oops.
You know what? No, that's good. Keep them guessing.
They never expect what I'm gonna drop next because it's gonna sound different. I'm not gonna sound like the same person.
Yeah. And now you use SoundCloud, right? That's where you like most of your stuff gets out on.
Yeah.
Because I know that's the big platform.
It's so easy to use. It's just I go on my phone. I can upload a song right now as we're sitting here, and it'll be up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And everybody.
I remember when it first came out, and like a lot of bands, a lot of artists, used it, and it was like it wasn't much of anything, and then all of a sudden I start hearing the term SoundCloud rapper is like it almost seems like it's its own genre.
Yeah, it really became that because people would be like, oh, they wouldn't even consider me a rapper at one point. They would just be like, you're a SoundCloud rapper. I'm just like, I mean, I am. Yeah, I am a SoundCloud rapper. And then once I got my music on other platforms, that's when I started correcting them. They would be like, you're a SoundCloud. I'll be like, no. I'm an actual rapper.
Yeah. I don't understand why it's got such a negative connotation to it still, because there's so many like big acts that have come out of that,
Yeah, I just feel like people saw the SoundCloud rapper as 6ix9ine. That look, that just his look in general, the face tats, the colorful hair, and all of that. That's what people would consider a SoundCloud rapper.
Gotcha. Yeah,
like,
it takes one asshole to ruin it for everybody, right?
Exactly. So even just being who I was and just having my music on SoundCloud, I got hate for that. They were just like, oh, why aren't you moving your music to anywhere else yet? I didn't know how to at that point. I didn't know how to get on Apple. I didn't know how to get on Spotify. It was one of my I was struggling trying to figure that out for a while, looking it up on YouTube. And I just didn't want to pay for it at the time. And then I figured out I just got to pay that one bill for the year.
Yeah, because that's another good thing is there's a bunch of third-party services where you get your RSS feed, you place it in one spot, and then it distributes it everywhere.
Yeah, I'm actually using United Masters, and it was like a 65 1-year payment, but I can get my music on ESPN. Like if it's good quality enough, I can get it like sample, like just send it to them, see what they think about it, and I'll probably get on there.
Now the most important thing though is, do you find a way to copyright some of it before you do that? Because that's the only thing is like a family member, he used to do a lot of producing down in South Florida and stuff like that, and then he got into more like doing music for like ESPN and for commercials. He had some stuff on like SVU and all that, but what he did is he made sure he had all this stuff copyrighted first, and then he's worked with some big guys, so he has a little bit of clout and everything. But so what he would do is he would set up licensing deals. Yeah. So it's like, because this is one way some of these big companies fuck you is you send stuff out to them and it's like, okay, cool. And they'll throw you like $100 or whatnot, and but then, now they own your stuff.
Song,
and it sucks. So he would license it out. And so he, okay, every time you play this, I get this much. And, it becomes a back and forth, and that's where the business side comes from. But then he's always owned his own music.
Yeah, that's the problem with me. I'll be stealing beats off YouTube. I asked one of my friends, he steals beats off YouTube, but he said, listen, if it says free on there, they wrote free. It's free. It doesn't matter if they try to sell the beat on another website. Like I did buy a beat once. I bought the license. It was $50. I have all rights to the beat now. But I'm just like, I posted a whole album and all the beats were stolen. One song got copyrighted. Yeah, that was it, just one, and I just had to take it down and upload the album again without that song. And I was just like, all right.
So I guess when you're doing that, you don't really have the ability to go and copyright it yourself if you're using pre-made stuff.
There was one song that I made though that I went to go post on Apple that I couldn't post, and it got me so mad because it was one song that like everybody liked. It was like everybody was vibing with it, everybody was chilling with it. I knew a lot of people memorizing the lyrics, and then they were like, "Why isn't this on Apple yet?" And in the song itself, I said I got my music on Tidal, Tidal the platform. I couldn't upload that song to Tidal.
Wow.
I was just like, wow, just the chances of that happening. Like,
that's ironic.
Yeah, I was like, I got my music on Tidal, but I don't. I really, it's not on there.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
But funny enough is sometimes there's a negative connotation to that, like, oh yeah, you get your beats off of this. You're not making your own, or you're not having somebody make them for you, whatnot. Yeah. At the same time, that goes back to the history of like where it all began. It's called sample for a reason.
Yeah,
the early
sample.
days, it was they were sampling old R&B songs and stuff like that, and looping them together with the old loop machines. And then as some of the drum machines started coming out in like the mid '80s, they would take those samples and then add a little kick and snare, a little bit of those fast hi-hats and stuff like that. But it was still taking something that was already around and resampling it into something else.
A whole different song.
That's just the history of how it was.
Yeah. I mean, I would sit there and I try to make samples. I mean, I try to make my own samples. That's why, like, if I want to make a beat, like, I will sit there and just try to harmonize with pianos and guitars and drums. I mean, not even, I would just try to get that one sound so that I can build the beat on top of it at the end of the point. Because making a beat is so easy. Making a drill beat is so easy. Just making that sample, getting that sample is the hardest part. Because how are you going to make the sample have a melody? How are you going to use the sample to... where is it going to come in? Where is it going to come out? Like, it's just so confusing. Like, making the song itself. Because you can make a beat with a hi-hat, a snare, and a bass. I can play drums and just make a beat, record that, and loop it. And that's it. But it's not the sample.
You want to build so much more on top of that.
You need that soul taking here. Like, you hear from, like, the back of your head coming to the front of your eyes. And you're just like, oh. Like...
That's why I always found it weird, like that podcast I was telling you about. They were talking about one particular area. Really, their entire beat background is just drums. They don't add like samples of anything, and it's like listening to it. It's almost eerie, because like you're waiting for like something else to kick in, and it's just kick and snare, and it's like okay, if that's what people like, that's what they like. I'm like, I'm with you. I want to hear more. I want to hear that melody. I want to hear something that kind of flows in with the lyrics.
I'll get some beats sometimes, and they'll have a sample behind it, and I'll just harmonize with it with a different like a different lyric, a different everything, but it'll still go and melodize and just everything sound unique in the background. I'll throw my own voice in the background with some effects and some auto-tune on it, so that they can hear me in the background and I'm rapping on top of myself. Gotcha.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, what about tempo? Is there any like particular like tempo you find yourself kind of like finding yourself comfortable in?
I didn't realize what tempo was until like a couple weeks ago. I knew what tempo. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know how to like really control it, because I just put my beats, copy, paste right into GarageBand, and I was just rapping over it.
Yeah, but you can change that BPM.
I sat there and I was like, oh shit. Well, I usually stay at 120, but I brought it down to 90. I've been using it at 90 lately.
Okay.
So that I could speed it up back after I record it and hear what it sounds like. If it's cleaner, if it's like smoother. But my friend told me that too, the one who makes beats. He's the one who put me onto that. So I was just like, all right, thank you.
All kinds of little tricks.
Yeah.
And especially, like, let's say you want to work on something that's really fast. You can do it at half time.
Yeah, I can slow that thing.
Speed it up, through that. And then if it sounds good, then attempt to do it at that actual speed. Because, you could just do it that way right off the bat and then release it. But then if you ever go to try to do it live, people are like, oh, you're fucking fake. You can't even do this shit.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I recorded it slow, but I recorded a song at like 120, right? And like it was slow, right? I sat there and I took my time and rapped it slow. And my friend did it. He brought it down to 9. He brought it down, and it was sped up. And I could still rap it, because again, I could rap pretty fast. But I was rapping over it, and I was like, yo, that's how I really imagined the song to sound like. But I just did it slow because like it was easy to record it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And like he did that, and I was just like, wow, that song sounded. It was fire, because it was picked up, and it just sounded like it was bumping a little more than it was before. Because it was just that slow nod, and then he sped it up, and it was just like, oh, okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. All the little things make a difference, you know? Even sometimes just having that one little like, you know, synth part and just like, you know, just like for a bar or two, it can completely change everything.
That quick mute for a second, like you say a word and the song just drops and you say that one word, it makes that word pop out and then the beat comes back in.
Yeah. I love that shit. You know?
That shit
like,
crazy.
Everything's going, it's going, you got the kick going, then all of a sudden everything drops out.
Especially when I drop, like when I'm writing lyrics, I'll be sitting there and like that comes in and I'm not even know it's coming in because I'm just listening to a random beat and I'm just rapping over the beat, not knowing what the beat already sounds like, and it'll just stop and I'll keep flowing over it. It just sounds crazy, and I'm just like, oh,
that's cool. Now, how about this? When you're writing and stuff like that, what comes to your head first? Like when you're writing your lyrics, is it kind of the lyrics just come and you start writing it down, or do you start hearing kind of like a melody and you kind of riff it all out to that melody and then try to get that sound in the background?
Well, depending on the moment I'm in, if I'm sitting there and I'm just like, if it's a long day after work and I want to record a song, I probably already have lyrics that I wrote down while working. If I'm coming up with something right on the spot, I'll give myself a big ass word, just one big word. Because I'm trying to work on my lyricism, just try to become like a good lyricist at the end of the day. And I sit there with that one big word and then just see how many words I could rhyme with it, like break it down, like syllables, and just get that 4-bar out. And then once I got that 4-bar, I'm like, all right, so now what can I do to make this 4-bar sound better, like as a hook? So I'll add other bars underneath it so that it'll just become an 8-bar. But it's still a 4-bar because it's not the same. I added a different rhyme at the end of the bar. Take that, make it into a hook, add some auto-tune, get myself a chorus. Take like take 2 bars out of that 4-bar, and that's my chorus. Sing that, slow it down a little bit, and then my verse comes in, and my verse I just want to hit with it. I just want to like just drill that right in, and then slow down halfway through my verse, come back in with like another verse, but like this verse is either slower or faster. Like it's just I switch up like between 8 bars. I could do 16, I could do the full 32. I feel like the full 32 bar is gonna sound like bland. You're just gonna have the same flow over and over and over and over.
It starts to drag
until the end of the song. Like I know people that stay with that same flow, so like they ride the whole song with that same one flow, and I'm just like, nah, I gotta switch it up. Nope. I'll throw like one flow in there, throw like 2 more at the end of the song, and then people are just like, wow. Because like you get right into one flow and then you get hit by another one and you're just like, oh, okay.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh, Pop Smoke. Rest in peace.
Whatchamacallit, and you know what's interesting about that is like, you know, club DJs, for example, that's like a part of their art as well. Like, you know, when you're sitting there and you're mixing a whole bunch of different songs, like, you know, flowing this song into that song and then bam, jumping the BPM up and like, you know, throwing something completely different to keep people like on that roller coaster. So having kind of like that mindset even in one song, and like in rock we call that, you know, progressive music, when like the flow is changing.
It's like roller coaster.
Exactly.
Like what you said that,
and just keep people like, you know, on their toes guessing.
Exactly.
By the time that like they're kind of bored of this verse chorus thing, all of a sudden you throw something else
and
in
they're just like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, it keeps people engaged, you know?
Yeah.
And then you can make one song sound like 2 or 3 different songs, and it's just like, oh shit, is this still the same song?
Every time I show a song to my dad, he hears it. He sits there and he's like, wait, why does it sound like 2 different songs? I'm just like, because it is. I'm just like, I got one verse from like a year ago, and this verse I wrote like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's cool. I you know, again, I'm not too familiar with a lot of stuff that's going on right now, but I don't think I've heard a lot of stuff like that. It's kind of like one generic flow that everybody has. I would say The Baby is a good example for that. He's switching up. He's doing his thing now. Gotcha. Yeah. So, you know, if anybody's looking for you, where's the best places to find you on the interwebs?
I'm SoundCloud, Instagram. I'm on Spotify and Apple right now too, and it's just NFG Trip.
NFG Trip.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure that we put it down in the description of the video and everything. That way anybody that's looking for you can find you. I'm hoping for the best success for you, man. And when things open up and we start getting stuff going, you know, back on, let's get a show going or something like that, man.
I'll see what I can do. I'm going to try my best.
All right, word. And also make sure that you check our playlist, because Trip is about to do a performance for us, so don't miss it. All right. Thanks so much, brother.
No problem.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.